Hope all of you have got a clear understanding of how SAP S/4HANA evolved from the ERP to how SAP has evolved basically, starting with R1 and then R2, R3, and then SAP Business Suite. Then after that, SAP Suite for HANA, simplified Suite for HANA, which is nothing but SAP S/4HANA. And now they're calling it as an intelligent Suite for HANA. So why they're calling it an intelligent? Because they're giving a lot of cloud integrations like Hybris, SuccessFactors, and they have incorporated some ML capabilities into the system. That's why they're calling it as an intelligent suite. Okay, it's the new word like business suite. They're calling it as an intelligent suite right now. Okay, but yeah, you can say it's just a marketing gimmick because wherever there is a word of ML or this thing, people consider it or data science these days. Okay, if you see, there's nothing new in the last 40-50 years except that the coding and the hardware has improved. But I don't see these concepts were there in the past, but it is just that the way market has evolved and how people are projecting it. Okay, there's no such fancy thing as such in ML or these things. Just that with the adventure of this new hardware and these things, they're getting the results on the better things, insights. I will talk about those things, these capabilities. I mean, HANA, when we discuss about HANA, we will see. But yeah, don't worry about all these things. Yes, that's what we discussed. So now, how we are going to do now is, as I said yesterday, so in this slide, yeah, so I will take this slide as a reference because we spent a lot of time yesterday. So in an SAP S/4HANA on-premise edition, we have front end and then middle layer SAP S/4HANA application layer. Forget about it. I mean, as I said, it's very similar to the ERP. It doesn't make sense for us to spending time over there because we just have 40 hours of this training. SAP HANA is the most important aspect. So here, as I said, this is where the difference has come, significant difference. Okay, for a basis consultant. So 80 to 85% of the thing will be over here. So we will focus more. I mean, remaining 30 hours or 35 hours at least, we will spend time on this HANA. Okay, at least next 30 hours we will spend on HANA, and then we will spend 3 to 4 hours. That is enough for Fiori because configuration is very straightforward. It's a completely automated setup. Okay, very easy. I will ensure that you will understand the full crux of SAP Fiori. I mean, in a basis perspective, what you're supposed to do. Once you get that, so you feel like Fiori is nothing. It's just a very easy thing. Okay, so that part I will spend some time at later point in time, and then we will discuss about the ad hoc requests like S/4HANA conversion and some other topics. Okay, now hope now you understand where I am heading now. So now I'm going to take you to the SAP S/4HANA. Then next 30 hours we're going to be with SAP S/4HANA only. See S/4HANA introduction, and then why these people have put it in this sequence. Yeah, installation and preparations, and then HANA installation preparations. What steps you have to do HANA installation preparations, and then HANA installation and multi-tenant and architecture and blah blah blah, so on so things. So the complete another 10, 15, 10, 12 modules will be on the HANA. Okay, good. Now let's get into the HANA part. So agenda for today is understand the need for SAP HANA. Okay, so I think I have covered the need for SAP HANA in terms of the business thing, why SAP want to go for it. It's obvious, it's quite obvious that they want to have a dedicated database for themselves. They don't want to rely on anybody so that they can sustain in the market. Okay, that's the business reason. And there are other reasons also, I'll tell you. Explain SAP HANA as an application platform. Okay, this is a very important thing you need to understand. I will stress it out. So remember the keyword platform. Okay, so the moment we hear SAP HANA, we consider it as a database, but it is much more than a database. That's why you remember this keyword. SAP HANA is a platform. It's not a database. It's a very important question in your certification exam. If you write it, I will give you the options also when I talk about it. But yes, so here you need to understand platform, how HANA acts as a platform, and then find additional documentation. So where you can, that's why in my second session itself, I've included lots and lots of documentation I have documented. See, the training, I strongly believe the training can go, I mean, I can explain you like 100 hours or 200 hours, but what is important thing is you will forget it after a week or after 1 month or 2 months. Okay. But the key takeaway is after this training, you should know when someone asks you to do some activity, you should know where to find it. So SAP documentation, you know how difficult it is to go through, right? So if you open one node and then it takes you to another node, from there to another node. So it is like an inception from here to there. I think all of you are experienced and you should be knowing it, right? So it's very, very difficult to solve an issue just following the node. It is important that where you get the right information. Okay. Even now, if I download the documentation and give it to you, it's useless. It's easy for me, PDF. But what I did is I have done the research, and with my experience, I have taken the help.sap.com links only. So as and when the version changes, SAP keeps updating those links. So which means you always refer to the up-to-date data. So as a best practice, guys, always I knew in TCS and how TCS works and stuff, because there are a lot of consultants who work with me. So the biggest problem is in TCS, everything they save it in PDFs and they will start documenting the local documentation. Is it true or not?
Correct.
So it's a very, very bad practice. Believe me, it is very, very bad practice, because the way the technology is changing, right? We unfortunately or fortunately, we are in a field, IT field, which keeps changing. In next quarter you change it completely, especially these cloud versions, right? Ariba, Hybris and all. Every quarter there is a new release. So it doesn't make sense to have your local documentation. Please do not do that. So and I've seen the cases where they have followed that 6 months old document and they have done the upgrade or the implementation. It's completely wrong. I mean, the system went for a toss, because in the new documentation, SAP has clearly told not to execute certain tasks. You getting my point? Then that has led to inconsistent, and then we have to do the entire project again. Okay. So wherever possible, when you refer some documentation from SAP, always maintain that particular note or help.sap.com link as a documentation. Okay. Please do that. Or you just put on top of it, always refer to this link, and that's how you have to practice a documentation. Okay. So that's the biggest learning what we have to do I mean, even until now, I don't know how you are working, but please try to work like this. Then your life, I mean, you keep updating yourself, and at the same time, you will not end up doing any mistakes as such. So, I mean, even if you do a mistake by following the documentation, you can always tell that, hey, I have followed an help.sap.com thing, and this is what I have done, and this is what has caused. And then you can raise it to the SAP, straight asking, I mean, OSS message, and mention that I followed this. You got it. So you always in a safe side. So always do that in a safe side, especially in SAP S/4HANA. I'm telling you, why I am stressing so much is I knew that you guys are much more comfortable than me. I mean, you all are into support project, but why I'm telling you this is, until ERP situation is different, S/4HANA situation is different. So there is no skill available outside in SAP S/4HANA, right? So because very few people are comfortable with working on SAP S/4HANA, because ERP in Google you can find documentation. Wherever you put it in Google, you will find lots and lots of documentation. I mean, people who have solved it. But in SAP S/4HANA, what is the reliable source or to get an information is always help.sap.com or SAP Notes. Please make this as a very serious and very serious practice when you deploy into your customer project. Okay. So you should take this as a very serious thing. You always have to refer to this thing. Suppose if you ask me, Nestle or a British Petroleum, where they strongly tell you, suppose if, as a basis consultant, if you propose something, right, they directly ask you, hey, what have you referred? Which document you referring to? What is the SAP note, right? So they have made that practice in some big customers. But yes, in SAP S/4HANA case, please always rely on the documentation which is already available. So there is enough and plenty of documentation from SAP freely available, and you always refer to that. Okay. So that's why I have given a section by spending a lot of time to collect that information and put it by section by section. It's very important for you. Always refer to those links. Okay. So these are the three important things today we discussed. Okay. Now let's go to the first aspect of it. Understand the need for SAP HANA. So SAP S/4HANA done, guys. I've given the introduction. Now we are getting into the HANA part. Okay. So SAP HANA is an in-memory technology. I think you would have heard it from a lot of people, or I mean, it's a buzzword, in-memory, in-memory. The first thing is, before I get into this other parts of this discussion, what do you mean by the in-memory? Can somebody explain? What you can think of the first thing when somebody says in-memory technology? It's not in a database. So for all of you, so if you think it's a new thing, so just consider this one. So like in our every mobile phone, right? So every mobile phone, so I will try to, in a very crude way, simplify this whole thing, this in-memory thing. So in mobile phone, we have 2 GB RAM, 3 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, right? Right? And even when you purchase your personal laptop, also you look at it. Oh, what is my RAM? 16 GB or 32 GB or 48 GB, right? So when your RAM increases, so what is your general assumption? The performance increases. Is that right? So the more configuration you go, you can play games and you can do all the things. That's what general things. So there's other things. I'll come back to that. Don't worry now. I'm trying to simplify. So the better your RAM, then the performance is better. Is that correct? All of you understood now? So HANA is nothing but they have developed a database which uses all its transactions or all its computations. The correct word is computations. All its computations within the RAM. Simple. Okay. So which means the HANA has a huge RAM. Okay. What suppose if your data size is 1 TB, right? If your hard disk size is 1 TB of data is there in hard disk size. So if you want to have that data to run on a HANA, you need a RAM of 1 TB. So which means the simple thing, the better. So forget about HANA or any database. So if you have a better RAM, obviously your performance is improved. Simple thing. So SAP has done nothing over here. You understand? So it is simple that the RAM, I'll tell you, they have done certain other things, but in a nutshell, number one, the hardware size has been increased. The RAM, better RAM, this database needs a very heavy RAM. So that will obviously improve the performance by default. Clear? So that is what the in-memory technology is. It's nothing but HANA is one part of it as a database, which will use a significant amount of RAM or a huge RAM to do its computations. So all the computations happens in the RAM, so that it is called as an in-memory. So RAM is nothing but a memory. So in memory, the whole things is happen. Okay, clear? So now, what are the daily irritations earlier? See, 2011, they have introduced this HANA. What were the most of the customers were complaining to SAP? Many customers with the existing, earlier databases. For example, Sybase or for Sybase anyway, it's a SAP now. So DB2, all of them are one category only. Oracle, let's say IBM, DB2 is IBM's DB2 only. Okay, so the existing traditional, they are those SQL those 4 or 5 databases. What were the most shouting problems or the existing things? Okay, problems. So yeah, can somebody explain? Can you recollect some of these things? Suboptimal execution speeds. Can you recollect a situation in your thing? BW report running for 3 days or 4 days, quarterly releases. Have you worked on these quarterly releases? I mean, where these guys, financial year-end closes, quarterly financial reporting. You remember there is a background job which runs for around 37 hours or 40 hours, and we will be monitoring that job. It's a very important job, so they need the data from a BW system. So can you recollect such things where the jobs are running longer time? Yes, so that's one problem. So see, suboptimal execution speed. So user frustration, lack of responsiveness, need for aggregation. Aggregation is some development thing. I will talk about it later. See, this is the thing. So suboptimal speed of execution. So you say that, I mean, as a CEO or a company, because you know that SAP ERP, right? It's all invoicing and money. So full money is involved for all the companies. As a CEO, this quarter end, you have to publish the results, right? So I think you have seen these notifications, right? So quarterly results they publish. Even TCS publishes yearly results and quarterly results, right? Q1 this is the profit, and Q2 this is the profit, and Q3 this is. So every company has to release their data to the share market, or publicly they have to announce. So that is why those jobs are important. From where do they get the data, that money data, transactional data? That is from the SAP system only, as I told you. So majority of the companies use SAP as their solution, ERP solution. So they have to plan it before the 3 days or 4 days before to get the data. And again, the data what they get is 3 days old, not exactly up to that particular point. For example, my CEO of the TCS has to announce right now, the data he has to publish is 1 day or 2 days before the data, right? So that's a very tricky situation. So it could be a case that yesterday evening he has closed a deal of 1 billion euros or something, but that how do you measure it? So suboptimal speed of execution, and moreover, the job runs for days and days. It's frustration to the companies. Many companies are complained about it. Now, lack of transparency. So I'm talking about the problems of how SAP has categorized when they with the earlier databases. Outdated figures. This is what I was explaining you. So at the right now, when I am doing this session or announcing it, I need the data 1 minute before or 2 minutes before, not the one day before or 2 days before, right? So these are the outdated figures when I say. And guessing the current situation. Again, what is my current situation? He's not understanding. And then missed opportunities. Okay. So opportunities in the sense business deals basically. So if you give a 2 days before data, it could be a case, as I said, in one day you would have made a lot of revenue, and your share market, your profits would have been at a higher state, and then shareholder would have invested. So because you have made a wrong announcement, or wrong, not wrong, you have not given the exact situation at that right moment, then it could have led to some other opportunities and stuff. I mean, business opportunities and reactive business model. So unsupportable business processes and competitive disadvantage. Yeah, obviously. So somebody else is using a live data with something else. So competitive disadvantages, this is the thing what I'm talking about in business terms. So unsupportable business processes means, yes, some integrations. For example, uh, XSA, I don't know if you have heard of it. So directly you can work with the HANA and then get the data from the HANA database, and you can public live reporting. Okay, that parts you can do that, but in Oracle and other databases it was not possible. So that's what there are some business processes which were not compatible with those databases, or because they are simple databases. It's not a, yeah. That's where I'm coming. I remember I asked you to remember the word platform. I will explain you later point what is the platform is. Okay, so how they have accommodated these business processes, I will explain later point. But these are the problems because irritations every day. So these are the daily irritations, or these are the things what majority of the customers have complained to SAP. They have considered or categorized into these categories, and they have developed a platform. Uh, so this business process, how SAP has accommodated it, I will explain it later point. Just remind me. So these are the problems that right now you try to understand these problems. Okay. Now how they address, we will discuss later. So the thing is, for that you need to understand the sizing, and then calculations, and how we define the architecture for the HANA considering your data. If you have that background, then I can relate all those practical things with the theory. Then that way it is much more interactable in explaining that. Okay, I'll get to that. I'll get to that point. Good. So, or you can put it this way: we are going to discuss entire course the advantages of HANA, but there are disadvantages of HANA also. That also we will discuss. Park it. Somebody note it down and have it ready, or I will discuss it when the situation comes. Okay. For now, it's too early to get into that. Let's keep it aside. So these are the daily irritations what the customers were facing now. Okay. Good. So now in-memory computing. Okay. Now let's come to this thing. How to address the first part? Suboptimal execution speed. As I said, in memory means it's simple. You increase the RAM, obviously, you get a better performance. Okay. But increasing only the hardware may not help. I mean, maybe to a certain extent, obviously, it will help it. I mean, it will help to get the, or let me put the big screen now. Okay, good. So it will definitely help in achieving the performance, but there are other things uh, complemented this particular thing. Okay, so very important slide, guys. This is technical terms. I'm going to explain the HANA how things different from the existing databases. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Earlier days when we have a port to be opened, or a network issue, or something related to the server, right? So we always have to rely on this data center guys. So they have to get into the data center. They have to do that thing. And it used to take how many days? 1 week, 2 weeks, or 10 days also, right? So many days, 1 month also. So anything related to the hardware or the server, it's so difficult to get the support from them. And that's how that architectures were given. Okay. But 2011, or at least, yeah, as far as I remember, from 2015, at least, this infrastructure as a service, cloud, I mean, cloud infrastructure providers, AWS. and then Azure, hyperscalers. I put the word hyperscalers, GCP. These hyperscalers came into picture. AWS has come much earlier. So now there is a significant improvement in the technology, hardware. Okay, software is fine. Let's keep it aside. In the hardware thing, there are amazing technologies have evolved. Okay, you don't believe it. Now we can deploy a server within 5 minutes, and you can start working with that. And when I say server, it's not just 1 GB or 2 GB server. I'm going to deploy a 258 GB, 1 TB servers. Within 20 minutes, the server will be ready. You will be able to work on it and taking a backup of that snapshot. I don't know if you heard it. 5 minutes, you can take a snapshot, proceed with that. Then if you want to build a copy of that system, just snapshot and build it. Another 5 minutes to take that. So the hardware technology has evolved in such a way that you cannot imagine. I mean, it's so advanced right now in the market hardware. I mean, it's amazing. Okay, so this thing has come up. Multi-core architectures up to 32 sockets with 28 cores of the CPUs. I mean, the sockets are nothing but 32 CPUs. I mean, now you go and see in the Azure thing, I will show you when we are deploying a HANA server. You see 48 CPUs, 100 CPUs, 200 CPUs, 300 CPUs, right? So many CPUs. And even uh, the RAMs also 64 TB, 1 TB, 2 TB. So heavy hardware. And you can deploy 1 TB and 2 TB, 3 TB scaling. Okay, parallel scaling in the sense as and when your data grows, you can put another node and keep doing a scale out situation. Okay, so you can put those nodes, and then 64-bit address space. Earlier we used to have this 32-bit address space, and it is a 64-bit address spaces now, which means will increase the. I mean, forget about what does it mean. What it can do is, if you go with this 64-bit, and you can go up to on one particular server 24 TB. Okay, in the current servers, so which means you can build a server of RAM 24 TB. Imagine this. And this is the possibility. And anything more than 24 TB, you have to put scale out. I mean, one more node. And then you need to put this HANA scale out scenario, you have to build over there. Multi-node concept. I will discuss those architectures. So, but here the most important point you need to understand is the hardware has evolved amazingly in the last 5 to 10 years, in last 5 years especially. Okay, which means heavy parallel processing, massive these things, everything has come hardware. Good, that is good for this for SAPs. I mean, it is in line with the HANA's vision, right? HANA, how they developed it, they wanted to do with the in memory, well and good. And this hardware innovations has really helped the SAP. Okay, because exactly whatever they are looking at it, I can call it as a right timing and right investment or the right technology. So SAP has guessed that the future is going to be, there will be a very huge innovations in the hardware, and the hardware becomes much more cheaper and much more powerful. They knew that. Okay, I mean, somehow they existed. So what they did is they invested a platform or a HANA database in such a way that in sync with that particular hardware, right? That's a very good choice. They made it, and yes, it is working for them, but it's a good guess. So the hardware innovations and their database is matching now. So now we are getting these heavy servers and massive parallel scaling, and everything is happening very good way. Okay, so that's how they're leveraging this hardware technology or the powerful servers. That's good part, hardware. Now the second part is the software technology. So what have they done differently compared to the SAP ERP? Okay, what could have they done better, right? So in the daily irritations, definitely fine. I mean, you are using an excellent hardware. It doesn't mean that it will work better. Fine, you have an outstanding, but if you configure it badly, right? So then it will not perform well. Now, based on that, what they did is they came up with column store and row store concept. Okay, so the existing databases, right? What we call Sybase, Oracle, DB2. So what is the storage? I mean, store they use. How the data is stored into the database? Is it a row store or column store?
Row store.
Yes. So row store. So yes, row store. Just keep it like this, row store for now. So column store advantages again I will explain in the next few slides. But understand that it has leveraged both column store and row store. Okay, and then compression. So the data is being compressed in a nice way into this. And then they also have done the partitioning. Okay. So what do you mean by the partitioning? If there are any big tables, okay, they have segregated them into these small chunks so that when it points to a particular thing, it directly goes to that small table and then picks the data. It is faster instead of going and searching in a 1 TB of table to see where my data is. And it's a CPU intensive task to search the entire thing. So instead of that, you put them into small chunks, and then as and when your select query hits that particular table or small chunk, I mean, you optimize it in such a way, your queries in such a way that whenever the request from so and so thing, you go and check that. So that way partitioning has been done. So no aggregate tables. This aggregate tables I will discuss later point in time when we come to this. What is this aggregation and stuff? So insert only on delta. Okay, this is also a very good and important thing. I will explain later. Okay, so very important slide, guys. So for the certification, so what are the new things have come in the SAP HANA in-memory technology? So both hardware and SAP software technology. So you have to see. So these are the exact 5 areas where SAP has worked in the database layer. So database layer only we are talking. Okay, we are not talking about the coding on the S/4HANA side and stuff that I discussed yesterday. They have reduced the redundant code and they have followed the principle of one, and they have reduced the data footprint in data. I mean, in the application side, we are talking only database side now. So in the database side, these are the things they have done different compared to the existing databases. Okay, these things have given an excellent speed with these hardware technologies. Okay, with these powerful servers, with this combination of both hardware and software things. So SAP HANA is the most powerful database in the market. I don't think any other database is as powerful as this now, right now. Because yes, you may say that, hey, we have this big data and other databases and all, but for running a company, right? ERP company, the database sizes here. For running such heavy and critical systems, I don't think any database is competent or enough to deal with HANA. Simple. So if you are talking about an ERP or a financial data or anything, so HANA is definitely the most powerful database in the market right now. Okay, there's no other way. There's no other database which can even come closer to this, especially in this SAP domain. Okay, because it's their database, they have invested so much, and the developers and all. So no other database can handle that data in a better than HANA. Yes, HANA was horrible in 2011 and 2016, 17 until 2018. It was horrible. I remember the days where the server goes down and then it takes around 28 hours or 38 hours to bring it up. I'll tell you when we talk about the starting of HANA. I will give you those examples why it takes a lot of time to start and stuff. But for now, let's park it aside. Okay. So these are the SAP software technology and hardware innovations combining together.
Yes, we are good. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Very good. So now again, I'm stressing again. So now I'm going to combine both of them, this hardware innovations and software innovations, what SAP has done. Uh, Combining these together, how SAP has addressed all these irritations, okay, all these problems, the customer problems or the business problems, combining these two. So in a nutshell, these are the things they did differently. So how they address this problem. Okay, here I'm going to compare these two. So the left hand one, the past. Okay, the past is nothing but, even you can say the other databases, even now if you are using it, and the present. The present is, what is it? Multi-core architecture or memory. So all these 3 areas I will tell you now. So first let's try to understand the past. Okay, the existing Oracle database or DB2, how it works, or any database which runs with Rostore. So here you have a CPU, right? So CPU and then memory. Memory, whenever I call it as a memory, try to understand it as RAM. And whenever I say CPU or cores, these are the synonyms. Okay, just consider it as a CPU. And all of you know that what is CPU, what it will do, computations basically. So and then IO bottleneck, and at the bottom we have this disks. Okay, so now as you can see here, if there is an end user request which comes to this system, first the CPU will try to do it via memory, and then it goes to the system disk, and then it will fetch the data. You see the arrows from the disk. Fine. So it has fetched the disk, and then it has come to the memory because the memory is small, and then the CPU also small. So what happens is I/O bottleneck. So it is not able to process this so much of data to this, and then it will get hanged, or it takes a lot of time, or it will wait for the other task to complete. Okay. So this is the problem with the traditional databases, what we have. Okay. So now how SAP has addressed it. So let's take CPU as an example. Okay. This is being caused by what? CPU and memory. Okay. This is because of the less CPU and less memory. What happened this to SAP? Now, these things, hardware innovations has helped. CPUs, as I said, there is a huge innovations in this infrastructure. Now we have multi-core architecture, huge number of CPUs. So you can put 32 cores, 40 cores, or 100 cores also, uh, right? CPUs. So now, as and when your CPU parallel processing. So if you have 10 CPUs, 10 tasks will go to the database and then fetch the data. Perfect. So CPU level, they have done excellent. So the memory. So the traditional databases has less memory. Okay. So again here, even though if you increase the memory over here, yes, that could improve your what you call performance. I mean, let's take that you have a Oracle database. If you increase the memory over here for let's put 1 TB, still the performance may not improve as expected. The reason is every time it has to go to the disks or the because these are the disk based databases, right? Because the data is in the disk and every operation it has to go to the disk and get the data. So even though you have a 1 TB of memory over here, it still has to fetch the data from the disk. So what is going to happen here? Again IO, right? Because it has to fetch the data from the disk only. So disk intensity, disk intensive operations. Again, that is a problem because it's useless. You have a high RAM, but you don't use it. You getting the point? So because every time your CPU sends a request, it has to go to the disk and fetch the data. Problematic. Okay. Hope you are connecting, guys. You're connecting, right? The problem, even though you increase CPU or memory, still there is a problem. Did you understand why? Because it has to go to the disk and get the data. Again, there is an input and output. So that's what increasing the CPU and memory doesn't solve the problem. So then you have to work in this bottle section at the bottom, this fat belly, this section, and then this disk intensity has to be reduced. Now comes to the thing. So what SAP has done in HANA is memory part. Yes, I have an excellent memory or very high memory. What I could do over here, row and column store, and then partitioning of the tables, and then compress the data, insert only on delta. Okay. So, and let's say these disks, solid state disk or flash disk or HDD. Now, you can ask me now, okay, very good. You have done this row and column store, partitioning and insert only on delta. How you are going to achieve this performance now? Still it has to go to the disk, right? Right? You can ask me the question. Still it has to go and get the data from the disk. So how you are solving this problem of IO? So even though you have a better memory and CPU, the existing database still has a problem of IO. How these things have solved that particular problem? So how SAP has done is, as I told, it's an in-memory, right? So this, see, follow my mouse. In the existing databases, all the data resides in these disks, right? Is that correct? So then what SAP has done, in-memory means what? So they have taken this entire data and put it in RAM. That's it. Simple. You take this entire data. So for example, you have 1 TB of disk data. So in memory, how it works in memory, this 1 TB comes to the RAM. Simple. Okay. So your your request when a core or CPU requests something or end user requests something, it doesn't have to go to the disk at all. First of all, so the problem is solved. There is no IO problem because it reads from the memory only, RAM only. But the existing databases do not have the technology to load this entire disk into the memory. That is where the problem, right? So this is how SAP has addressed it. Okay, fine. I am loading the entire database into the memory. That's why they call it as an in-memory database. What does it mean? Everything runs in the RAM in a very, very crude way to put it. Everything runs in the RAM, which means your 1 TB or 2 TB of data runs in the RAM. So it goes to the disks only for the persistency. I will explain it later point in time, or insert only on delta. So only every 5 minutes there is some save points. I will talk about it. Okay, don't deviate from it. So only when it is needed to write it on the disk, it will go and write it. And again, it is not syncing immediately. It will be like every 5 minutes or asynchronous. It is an asynchronous task, not a synchronous task, which is good. So there is no impact on the performance. So all your computing, all the thing will run on the RAM. So then it means it's on the fly, whole thing. So, and yes, when you are pulling the data from the disks, right? See here you have the disk. When you are putting the data, 1 TB of data into the in-memory, what they did is they have segregated the data in such a way that row and column store. Okay. And they also partitioned in the memory. And they have also done a compression. Compression, let's keep it aside. But these are the two things, row and column store and then partitioning, will improve the performance very significantly. See, first of all, you have a very high RAM, and then you have stored the data in a right way. I mean, row and column store. I will explain it later point in time where we use the row store and where we use the column store. But does anyone know the existing databases are row store? You told, okay. Row store databases are good with for what? Or column store database is good for what? So row store is good. Existing databases are row store, and then there are some databases like Sybase, which works with the column store also, but again, it's an SAP's database. But HANA can work with both row store and column store. Okay. For example, if your tasks are transactional, right? If I have to put it in a very simple way, wherever there is a too much of writing, right? Insertions, right? Insertions or deletions or updates. These are the write operations on the database. Wherever there is a write operations, you need the best database is the row store database. Got it? Wherever there is read operation, reading. I mean, you just want to read the data. BW. Reading means BW is just reads the data, right? To produce the reports. Wherever there is a reading, column store is the best. Okay. But HANA, these guys have done fantastic by incorporating both row store and column store, which means whether it is write or read, it's going to perform well. So I'll talk about it, this part. Okay, next we have slides for that, row store and column store. But for now, hope this part, how SAP has addressed those daily irritations from the past to the present. Did you guys understand here? Any questions over here? So, so what we discussed now, this slide we discussed. So the past, what were the problems, and the present, how SAP has addressed these issues. Now let's get into the HANA design. So yeah, some things I know it will be a little bit boring, but yes, you need to understand. So SAP HANA is different by design. It stores all data in memory. As I said, the entire data of this disk will be loaded into that memory. That is what is the exact meaning of in memory, guys. Okay, the whole thing happens on the RAM. So so this thing has to get into your mind. That's it. The moment you hear HANA, oh, it runs on a RAM, so it's faster. Then all your concepts become so much easy and simple to connect to them. So it is in a compressed columnar format. Okay, because SAP HANA is a different design, it does not require sums, indexes, materialized views, and aggregates. This produces the database footprint. Everything is calculated on demand, and forget about it. So have you heard of this OLTP and OLAP? The invoices, financial, transactions, everything happens where? ERP, right? Yeah, ERP is an OLTP system, guys. So all our databases. So what makes you think all the databases are designed in row store? Oracle, row store, right? DB2, row store, right? SQLDB, row store, right? So why they developed a database into the row store? The thing is, SAP is mainly how SAP introduced ERP, right? First thing, it's a transactional based system. So as I said, when you save write intensive, then the row store is the better. I'll explain later, row store, why it is better. So that's why all these databases are row store. But with the advent of this data and the technology, OLAP operations also important, right? So which means BW. BW is reporting. Wherever there is a reporting or a reading of the data, select statements and get the data and present it. Wherever there is analytics is involved. So wherever, so this is, I'm trying to put it in very simple terms, okay, connect it. Very important. So OLAP is wherever this reading is involved. So BW system. Okay. So as I said, OLTP operations, row store is better. OLAP operations, read is better. So now HANA can do both. Okay, that's the biggest advantage of this thing. I mean, this HANA database. So that is how, I mean, that is why it is the most powerful thing. So Oracle, DB2, other databases can perform well with the transactional or this OLTP things because row store, because they are the row store, the architecture itself is a row store thing. They can't do anything about it. So row store things, but they are lacking in the reading or these analytical applications or the BW kind of things. Okay, that's where the HANA is differential. Okay, so now for now, what I want you to understand is what is the OLTP and what is the OLAP. That is more than enough. So we will discuss when we get into the actual thing. I will stress it out. Okay, for now, just you need to have a clear understanding of these two terms. Good. Now, one more thing, I'm SAP HANA, it supports a lot of open standards. Okay, again, for now you need to have understanding of what all things it stands. So you remember yesterday I was discussing, so SAP wanted to come up with, as a business reason, they wanted to come up with something which is everything is on the open source, right? Because uh, they learned their lesson from Oracle and Java. So the moment you start taking the other companies, initially they may give you for a very lesser price, but as soon as you have a business and they start charging you more, that's the problem. So what they did is in HANA, everything, whatever they have invested or whatever they have taken, they have invested on the open source technologies. So these are the technologies. I don't know if you have the background of this coding and stuff, you can relate it to this. Representations REST. I think this is a web-based application designing technology. JSON. So you can say that it's a Java, it is not open source. No. Java also certain things are open source because they have to give certain things openly for free of cost. So those open sources only SAP has used. ODBC, Open Database Connectivity, JDBC, you would have heard, right? Java Database Connectivity. So which means, so with this ODBC and JDBC drivers, so you can connect your applications or integrations with the database with these connectors. Okay. So SAP has picked these many open source, majority of the things, put it on the open source HANA. Okay. These are the standards what SAP HANA offers. I mean, what SAP HANA supports. Okay. Clear on this part? Since we have spent a lot of time on, I mean, I've given you this thing, I will try to give you a simple example of write operations and read operations. It's very important to understand this aspect, basic thing. So as I told, majority, see, the ERP is a OLTP thing, which is where writing is involved too much. And then you have this OLAP, BW kind of systems where you need a reading. Okay. So row story is better for writing and column story is better for the reading. Now let's see how this is how the row store looks, the left side one. Okay. So why the row store is, first try to understand it. I mean, I'm trying to explain the read access. First, read. Let's see the read. So why column store is better for read and why not the row store? So the left hand side is the row store. So row store is nothing but, guys, it will write in the sequence like in row. See A, B, C, D, follow my mouse, A, B, C, D like this. And then A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D like this. It keeps on writing in a row, one by one, it keeps on writing. So it doesn't know. Sometimes, so now you see here, left hand side one is the row store, right hand side was the column store. So I'm trying to explain how a read operation first. Okay, I will come back to the write operation later. So how this read operation is better in column store. Okay, so you need to understand the first thing, row store, how it works is when a request comes, or for example, when an update, you try to update some table entry, right? So what it will do is it will go to the disk and it starts writing in a row, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D like this. Okay, like this. So a lot of rows it has written. Now, after some time, you are done with that, and after 1 week or 2 months, these guys have deleted these entries. I mean, some of these updates, and they deleted it. So these blocks at the disk, they were not cleaned. because it cannot go and put the same entry in the previous, because a row store will always go in a sequential way like this. Okay? First row, second row, third row, fourth row, and sequential way. So the first thing is data which is not being used. To retain that data, you have to do some activity. I will tell you later. That is fine. Let's keep it aside. Suppose if you want to read A, right? If you want to read, select star from so and so table and read A. So the CPU has to come and read this A. It has to search over here and then search in this row also, search in this row also, search in this row. Because see, the A is over here, A over here, A is here, and every row A is there, right? So it has to go to the each row and then read it. So which means your CPU process has to check too many things. I mean, four. So it is a CPU reads or more. You get it? You get my point? So row store is not good because it's a CPU intensive for read operation. Now, why column store is better for read? You see here, column store, anyway, columns are put in a horizontal way. If you look at in Excel, columns are like this, right? In different way. So it doesn't matter. So what happens is in column store, it will put A completely like this. A, everything is in one line, and then B in one line, C in one line. So the moment you put select star A from so and so table, it doesn't go to the all the rows. I mean, it just go to the column where this A is present. You understand? All the things are available over. That's it. So select star from AC, A and C. The moment you say search for both of things, you just have to look for only two, which means indexing is better in column store. Simple, if I have to put it in a simple way. So the table has been organized. Column store is a better thing for read operations because you have indexed it or it has stored the data in a structured way in for reading easily. Get it? It is just like in a library. If you maintain the catalog, it is very easy to go and pick the book, right? I mean, in alphabetical order or whatever it is. It's as simple as that, if I have to put it. So column store is better for this read entry because only two things it has. Now you understood, right? Why the column store is better for read operations. Let me come to the another important aspect. Okay, read operations is clear. Column store is better. HANA will store some of the tables, not all the tables. Okay, guys, keep in mind. I will explain you later. HANA will store some of the tables in column store, but you cannot avoid the row store because row store is good for the what? Writing. So because it is, suppose with a pen, if you are writing into the system, right, transactional data, it is always good to go write it the pen, line by line, right? So see, like A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So if you ask the column store to write it, it is again a CPU intentional because it has to search which column I have to put which entry. You getting my point? So column store is only good for reading. For writing, it is always good to be with the row store because the CPU has to go to the next entry only, one line only. For example, if I am writing, right, CPU will go, oh, A, next block is free, B, C, D. It writes, keep on writing, only one line. So write operation is easy with the row store, but not column store. Again, if you go here and if you want to do this write operation, it is again CPU intensive. That is where you have to be smart. That is what HANA did. So for all the transactional things, right, or write operations, write operated tables. So SAP knows what tables are being written day in and day out, right? They knew it. So those tables they have defined as the row storage. I mean, where there is a write intensive operations, and those tables where there is a very high read operation, they just they categorize them into the column store. See, that's a smart way of being. You understand? So that is how HANA is good when it comes to the uh, speed. This is because this is software innovation. So they have segregated the tables into row store and column store, and wherever there is a write, put those tables are row store, and wherever these tables are read, put them into the column store. Good part. Now, one more problem I will explain you. So here you see in my screen left side row store. So suppose the problem with Oracle and this DB2 or any database is once these there are deletions, right? Some entries deleted or some data is deleted. So that data doesn't clean up automatically. You see it? So which means that the space is being wasted. Okay. What do to retain that space? Can somebody tell? You need to do a reorganization, right? You need to do reorganizing of the table, indexing of the table. Have you heard of these things, activities? You do that. So this activity, even though HANA has row store tables and column store, HANA is both. Okay. Do we have to do the reorg in the HANA? Do we need to perform the reorganization of the table or indexing of the tables in HANA? Do we have to do? So because if ERP or OLTP transactions will go to the row tables, not to the column store. Still, you see this slide, it can trigger something. So this is row store and column store. Now you understood clearly. So write operations will be put in row, and read operations column store is better. And then there is a partitioning of the tables. It's as simple as that, grouping of the tables, and insert only on delta. Okay. So you do not need reorganization of the tables or indexing of the tables. The reason, because somebody catch it, it's an in memory.
In memory.
Yeah. Why and where does this takes this thing? See, suppose let's say that the user request has come and you have deleted the entries in this row store table, right? So what it will do? So after some time or every 5 minutes, there is a jobs which runs asynchronously. I told you asynchronously. It goes and writes to the disk. See, insert only on delta, which means only the delta amounts will be returned to this one. So it goes and writes to the disk. So when it is writing to the disk, it already taken care of that reorganization. You don't have to do anything. You getting my point? And
Yes.
then when you call the same table, and again it loads the data to the memory. Simple. So the new table or reorganized table will come over there. So which means your data. So this part, or you don't have to perform any reorganization in the SAP S/4HANA. Is that clear? So because it when it writes to the disk and when it loads from the disk to the memory, it takes care of that reorganization because it's in memory. So everything in RAM only, whether you delete it or whatever it is. So it will take to that particular state to the disk, and when it is writing to the disk, it will write in a clear or formatted way. It's simple. So now what how it works? So for example, you have triggered a query, delete so ed dat or some table. So it comes to the in memory. The table is available over here, right? So what it will do? It will delete that table in the memory, obviously, and then the sync job, synchronous job will go and delete it in the database. That's it. Simple. Then it will free up the space. Both your RAM and hard disk space will be reduced. Simple. Yeah. So let's say if you have removed certain parts of the entries, or for example, in the table, let's say you removed 2 rows, right? When you remove those 2 rows, what happens? It is in memory only. You removed in the memory. What it will do? It will go and delete that 2 rows in the database also, disk also. You got it? But disk wise, as soon as you deleted that disk operation, then it's cleanly organized this data. Okay. So what it will push, let me tell you. So what it will do is, for example, this whole computing is happening over here. Let's say, 1 second. So let's say that you have deleted this ABCD, the second row and third row. Okay. So RAM, I mean, it's an in memory. In the RAM tuck, it will delete the both. Okay, fine, done. So when it pushes to the database, right, it has done this complete reorganization over here, which means now your table will look like, okay, this row and the remaining 2 rows, right? This entire 2 and that delta change will go to the disk, and then it will apply over there, which means you always have a clean state. So there is no need for a reorganization of the table needed for that particular thing. So all the deletion, everything happens over here in the memory. Okay. So it's not in the disk. So whenever it goes to the disk, it will go always in a consistent state. You understand? So there is nothing blocks or not being blocked like in our existing databases. Those blocks will be freed up only when you reorganize the tables on the disk. You're getting the point, right? What I'm trying to say. So this whole thing, RAM is taken care of. This your all the thing. The no blocks are being blocked over here in memory. Okay. So in memory, it's just a RAM. You deleted, okay, deleted. This is my state of the table, and okay, go and replicate in the disk. Simple, problem solved. But whereas in this left side one, it's a disk. So when you put these deletions, it has to go to the disk and it deletes those entries. But when it deletes those entries, it will not free up that space. Understand? Until unless you reorg it, because it's a row store. So row store means, okay, you deleted B, D, and D. So what it will do is row store will always go and write it to the last row. I mean, wherever the last entry was made, right? So it won't free up. So when you have to reorg this whole thing, okay? But in HANA, this memory itself, it just RAM itself, that's the whole, that's how the RAM works, okay? Just deletes and then, oh, everything is free because there is no block or nothing is blocked over there. Simple. Okay, we can also do it. So we have an option to define whether it is a row storage or column storage. Suppose sometimes we do develop certain customized tables, right, for our end user applications. Okay, in such cases, that is why I was stressing so much on this write and read. Okay, if some concern, because you can define it when you are creating the table to read or write. So that is where, as a basis consultant, you have to assess. You have to ask that guy, hey, what is the purpose of this thing, your application? Is it going to, because 90% of the applications only reads the data. For example, mobile applications or the dashboards, Tableau, Analytics Cloud, right? There are a lot of applications. All of them try to read the data from the system because they're read intensive. So that case you have to do is you have to define them as a column store tables. You getting my point? So then they will get the best out of it. So if it is a read or some application is trying to update the data into the database, right? Or for example, open text, I don't know if it writes so much. What is the best? Banking related, yeah. Simple. There's money transactions going and coming, right? So such parts will come are write intensive. So if you have to put a simple table for that particular recording purpose, you have to define it as a row storage because it's a write intensive. Okay. So these are the basic things, write and read. See how simple them, but it makes your life so easy. You have to define it as a right category. Clear? And yes, standard tables, SAP, if you install a system as an S for HANA, then it knows, I mean, they have a list of tables, what has to be transactional, what has to be column store, and then that will categorize standard tables. The SAP will take care of it as a part of the build. Okay. Now, where we are going now, slowly. So now you understood this thing, in-memory computing technology. So how SAP has leveraged both the hardware and software innovations to get the best out of their database. So column store and row store is clear now. Okay, and when, which is better for when that is the key takeaway is for now, for today, is you need to understand what is row store, column store, and which places which tables are better. Okay, let's see. Now, HANA deployment options. We're going to discuss this. Let's see if there's any standard terminologies over here. Nothing important. So then I can use this. You can use this. Okay, just want to see. Okay, good. So deployment servers, single host configuration and multi-host configurations. Okay. So now, and I'm also going to introduce you to the certain terminologies or the processes which in HANA. Don't get overwhelmed by these names now, right now. So as I said, we are going to spend another 30 hours or time on this HANA. And each chapter, when you get into it, you start feeling comfortable. Okay. So for now, let's discuss about the multi-host and the single host and multi-host configurations. So what the first thing when I say single host configuration, what you can think of it?
Yeah, just one particular host running on the virtual machine or
Single host means one server.
Yes. Yep. So good. So first thing, let's try to understand this yellow background. Okay, yellow one, this single host thing, left hand side one. Just see my mouse. You have an SAP HANA host. Forget about this multi-host configuration. Nobody dares to implement it. Okay, believe me. I'll tell you why. Okay, no customers are literally scared to implement this multi-host configuration. So majority of the people whom I am aware, except SAP. So within SAP, yes, they are using this multi-host because they have to give it to the customers. First thing you have to understand, key takeaway is in this entire 40 hours of thing, single host configuration is more than sufficient for you to catch up with multi-host configuration. Multi-host configuration is still being worked upon by SAP, and it is still not yet proven for big customers. Okay, I'll anyway theoretically I'll cover it. Let's put it this way. So single host configuration, it's nothing. It's very simple. I mean, if you worked in cluster or something, it's very simple to catch it. Single host configuration. First, you have an SAP HANA host, which is nothing but a server on which you install this one. So on top of it, you have a SAP HANA database. Okay. So the green background. So HANA database contains few processes. Try to remember this, try to catch these names. So like master name server and master index server and XSA server. Okay. Just try to catch these words now. If you have not heard of these things, we will get into them. But HANA database, the main process is like Oracle has the processes, right? Like PS minus EA of grep, and if you give the Ora DBA, you'll get some processes. Same way, HANA database has the processes to run, which is name server and index server. Okay, yeah, there is a master. Just put it there. XSA server is nothing but again another process within the HANA database which helps to connect to the external applications. X is nothing but external. Okay, so then you have a SAP host agent. A host agent, we all know that normal host control agent. There's nothing new. And then a HANA lifecycle management. Forget about all these things. Okay, this bottom part, host agent, everything is same because the host agent is mainly used for what? Just for monitoring, right? To collect the data for the Soulman or Efron or this stuff. Apart from that, monitoring metrics basically, host agent. So since our focus should be on HANA, just look at this green background only. So that is the HANA database. The key processes in HANA database are the name server, and the main process is index server. Okay, index server is the key process for a SAP HANA database. XSA is okay. It's an external communication, but index server is the main process for the HANA. Okay, good. So master. So in multi-host configuration, okay, multi-host configuration, there will be multiple hosts. Okay, it's a kind of when do we use this multi-host configuration? So cases like where there is no scale out is possible. So do you know this scale up and scale out? Scale up means so which is nothing but your earlier question. For example, now I think you will be able to understand a little bit, but it doesn't answer the full question, but I'll get it. First thing, scale up. Because I'm trying to explain why you need a multi-host configuration. Scale up and scale out, two important terms in basis. Scale up is you have a server of 1 TB and your database has increased by another TB. Okay, or you see a potential growth of 1 TB based on your trend 1 year. Oh, in my next year, my database grows by another 1 TB. Oh, I have to do something about my server, right? So then what do you think? Now, two options in your mind. Oh, how do I increase that? You either you can upgrade your existing server, or we can call it as a migration. Okay, migrate the existing system, or whatever is the approach you follow. Forget about that. So you can increase the server from 1 TB to 2 TB directly, right, on the same system. That is called a scale up. Okay, or next year again, it will change it to 3 TB. Then again, you increase the same server capacity to 3 TB. Capacity means I don't think that you are just increasing the disk size. Okay, in HANA, please be remember whenever there is a size or a RAM discussed, or a database size is discussed, we are talking about RAM. You getting my point, guys? Can all of you sync to that point? In memory database. So which means whenever I say data size is 24 TB, don't think in a traditional database way that, oh, my disk size or DB size. Okay, come out of that. So think in RAM. So we are talking about RAM here. So it's a very high cost also very high. So 2 TB, you can go up to 3 TB, 4 TB, 5 TB. So scale up. If you keep increasing your existing server's capacity, okay, that is called a scale up. Clear? Or when you have a 2 TB of data, you have an option, right? Okay, my current server is 1 TB. I don't want to disturb this server. And you put one more TB server and then one more TB. As and when your data increases, you put 1 TB of server, another one. You understand? So that is a scale out, which means you are keeping another servers of 1 TB, 1 TB like that. So that is the scale out scenario. Okay. Is it clear now? Scale up and scale out, guys. So like this node one, you put a node one, node two. So you see correct terminology is node one, node two, node three, like that. So that's what. So scale up and scale out. This is the exact meaning. That depends on your data size. Okay. So my preference would be, I mean, no customer, as I put in the first thing, no customer would dare to go to this scale out.
Okay.
So, because it is so complex and so messy right now. Okay, it looks so simple for you. I mean, oh, it's easy, just add one more server. No, it's not as simple as that. We are talking about database, guys. Okay, we're talking about database. So we don't know which server is handling which table and how it is doing. So scale up is the most preferential thing. And as long as you have the capacity or the server available, right? So you always do the scale up. Simple. Okay, so that's the best solution. So scale up is easy, not easy, easy only, easy and best, less complex. You know where exactly the tables are being loaded and what it is doing, and operations and administration becomes much easier in scale up. Okay, so now, but does this scale up works for everyone? When do you have to? When you will be forced to go to scale up? So with the current technology, even 24 TB servers also not available. So recently Azure is manufacturing the servers of 12 TB for Nestle. Okay, it came in the news also. 12 TB servers, 12 TB RAM servers. Okay, so see, with the current architecture, one server can go up to 24 TB. That is the maximum available, even if somebody manufactures you. Okay, so which means, and you may ask a question, which company in the world will have a 24 TB of data? And what is your maximum database size you worked upon in your experience?
8 or maybe 10 up to. At least that is.
Yeah. So this is the, I mean, SAP has, when they defined this architecture, right? This TB and, hardware innovation, SAP has done everything right. Of course, they have assessed correctly. Let me come here. Okay, CPU, yeah, this slide. CPUs, they have assessed correct. Oh, number of CPUs can be increased. But memory also, what they thought is more than sufficient. I mean, which company in the world, they knew these guys. So which company will have such a heavy? But anyway, they have a theoretical architecture like scale out option. Okay, they thought that okay, even if the people have so much of data, you can do the scale out. But scale out is very risky. I mean, no customer is daring to go. See, the problem now SAP is facing is biggest problem. Okay, so in the last 5 years, the data footprint has increased significantly in all the companies. Not only, and in this COVID has increased even more. Okay, so Microsoft has these servers of database size, their existing database SQL server size 48 TB. Can you believe it? 48 TB. Now, no infrastructure in the world can provide them this 48 TB. Getting the point? So
Yes.
48 TB of RAM. So what they have to do? They are forced to go to the scale out scenario. There is no other option. What they have to do? Develop 10 TB, 10 TB, 10 TB servers, and then put 5 and put multi-host configuration is needed over there. Scale out again. They don't have any other option. And then British Petroleum has this 38 TB now currently. Nestle 60 TB. Okay, the database sizes guys I'm talking about. So they have so much of data, they can't scale up. I mean, because no hardware is available in the market. It's as simple as that. No hardware, no 60 TB of RAM servers are available. Okay, but yes, that's the problem, and that's where you have to go with this multi-host configuration or this scale-out configuration. Okay, so it's simple. So when you are installing the HANA itself, it will ask you whether it is a single host. It will fine. It will install straight away. If you define it as a multi-host configuration, it will ask you what is my node 2 or what is my node 3 or 4, how many nodes you want, right? You understand what I'm saying? So you have to give the inputs as this is my node 1, this is the IP or this is the server name, and this is my node 2, this is node 3. So if you define that, then it will create those two hosts and defines it. You get it now? What is multi-host and what is single host? Okay, but in actual real scenario, the scale out is not as easy as what I explained. But at this moment, this understanding is enough for you. Okay, when I discuss about the M code and M cost scenarios during the HANA, I will explain in details about what it will do. But for now, these are the two deployment options which are available. And as an architecture perspective, SAP delivers to these customers. One is a single host configuration, which is 99% of the people are using. for all their productions, and scale up is possible. Scale up, so they can go to 20 TB or 24 TB or up to 24 TB if they get the hardware. Okay, good. Any questions on this? And scale out, when you in multiple servers, you can go one by one. It has to be, because database is the single source of truth, right? So all are the scale out also. That's the correct word you have to get into. I mean, in your interviews also. In a multi-host configuration, the disks are being shared between the nodes, and they may ask you cross questioning. Why can't you have each node separate disks? No, database doesn't work like that. So in one host is doing some computing and another host is doing another computing on a table. They all have to go and write it onto the same table, right? At the end of the day, they're all doing the one purpose, which is solving the customer's request or the end user's request. So for the single source of truth, you cannot have each node as a separate disk. Then if that is the case, then you have multiple databases. So it's a database, and you should have a shared persistency. Persistent is nothing but writing this a word in HANA they use, which is means persistent layer. So wherever there is a persistent layer, right? Persistent or persistency, that word comes, you always connect to this thing, disks. Okay, like in Oracle and DB2, where it writes to the data disk. Same way, wherever you see this persistency means we are talking about the disk storage, or writing it to the disk. Okay, is that clear? Now I'm going to remember in my initial slide, and again let me put it to the big screen. There is no important topics theory over there. I asked you to catch one word. Yeah, the second one. Explain. Understand the need for SAP HANA. Any questions on this one? Very clear now, right? Technical perspective also. What were the daily irritations and of SAP addressed, both with the hardware innovations and the software innovations they have addressed. Now, explain SAP HANA as an application platform. So what do you mean by the platform? So have you heard of NetWeaver platform? So have you heard of SAP Cloud platform? And have you heard of this Azure platform? Okay. So what do you mean by the platform? What is your basic understanding of the platform? Very simple word. Like I said, write, read, and then this scale out, scale up, right? So simple. Wherever you see a word platform, it's nothing but they're creating an ecosystem. Okay. They're creating an ecosystem where you can do multiple things, right? And where they have incorporated all these open source things. See, you see in this slide very clearly, SAP HANA platform. So see, you can do SQL, MDX, R is a programming language, sorry. JSON, Java-based open source things. So open connectivity. So you can develop, you can integrate, you can also have a database services. Very important question in this one, certification. SAP HANA is a platform or a database? So database is a subset of HANA platform. You see here, can you see database services? So the moment we hear the word SAP HANA, we think that it's a database only. So database services is just one particular part of HANA. So HANA database is the one particular aspect of SAP HANA platform. You get it, guys? So a platform to innovate enterprise applications, SAP HANA platform means. So platform means you have their libraries will be there, APIs will be there. So all these coding things will be there, integration technologies will be there, connectors will be there, so many things will be there. So NetWeaver also a platform. I don't know if you heard of this. NetWeaver is a platform. On top of it, this BW, SCM, ERP, everything is developed. Okay. So NetWeaver is also much more capable than running just an application, SAP application. You agree with that? So you can also do an integration from NetWeaver application. You know, other third-party applications you can connect to the SAP system, right? Where do they develop those applications? On NetWeaver platform. Okay. So now the platform for S/4HANA is the SAP HANA platform. So HANA is a platform, and database is just one part of it, and it will do much more things. Integration services, see, transaction, unstructured machine, Hadoop services, real-time location, other apps, any apps you can develop and you can consume and with HANA database or S/4HANA or other things. Okay, so this is a very key and a very important thing. HANA is just uh, it's a platform. It is just not simple this thing. Okay, Good. I'm going to discuss about this one. Give you some background about it. Can you see here integration services here at the bottom? Can you see
Yes.
this, guys? And you see there are a lot of third-party or outside applications, Hadoop or whatever, you name anything. So in order to connect to this platform or HANA or come to the SAP, you need an integration platform over here, right?
Correct.
So you like earlier, so SAP to SAP system, how do you connect? RFC,
Yes,
right?
remote phone.
Remote function call. And SAP to third-party applications, how do you connect?
Yeah, there are various ways, but we can connect via RFC as well.
Yeah, you do
HTTP,
have
RFC.
yes. So you do have HTTP type and type 3 TCP/IP RFC connections, right? So that is the integration framework provided in the NetWeaver platform. You understand? Please try to connect, guys. ABAP connections. ABAP to ABAP connection, you use this. HTTP connection to external server, you use this type of connection. And then internal connection, TCP/IP connections. If you want to register some programs or connect to some third-party applications, you use this. Okay. So this is the framework what SAP has provided in the NetWeaver platform. Okay. Now we are talking about the HANA platform. What is this integration? How HANA platform provide a framework to integrate with all these third-party guys, third-party applications. Okay. Here we are talking about. So this is the thing. XSCA. Okay, this is the framework SAP has provided. See, for example, you have a browser. See, all the third-party applications have a browser or devices. Once the request comes, there is a process in the HANA database. When we connect to it, I will show you. But for now, just understand that XSCA is a framework provided by the SAP in order to integrate with the SAP HANA system. Okay, simple. So it does have. So most of your browser-based or the mobile phone or browser things, how they were developed? Do you know how these websites are developed? Which language? Websites or the apps, mobile apps, developed in which language? So majority of the things are developed in HTML, Java, C++, and blah blah blah, whatever it is. But it is always the open source technologies, whatever the web-based content, right? All of them are developed in a open source only. Okay, nobody has this license because that's how the IT panel or all the companies have agreed and they have decided to have it this one. Those all libraries are available in this particular XSA. Okay, HTML, Node.js, you see this thing. All of these libraries are available. As soon as a request comes from this browser, it will understand which language it is there, and it's all automatic. You and me have nothing to do over there, guys. Believe me, just is understanding purpose. It's a framework. So what it will do is it will connect to the HANA database. That's it. So it acts as a router or whatever it is you call it. Okay. So, but as a basis guy, what you have to do is you have to ensure that this process is up and running. Okay. If this process is not running, which means let's say you are working on the system and all your application guys or end users, some of the application developers complain, hey, I'm not able to connect to the HANA. I'm not able to do anything. So then what you have to see is you have to see whether your XSA process is up or not on the database. It's simple. I will explain it later. So you all go to this one. See, current version, as I told you yesterday, SPS 6 now. So SP5 I told. So it is SPS 6 now. So you see the versions. Okay, this is how you need to navigate to this documentation, guys. Your customer's project or what is the version, you click on that and always go with the latest one. So here you explore this thing. I mean, all the things. I mean, I've put it in the slide. Documentation download, full documentation. You can download also, but I don't recommend you to download. As I told you very clearly, never ever download it. Simple. Don't do that. I mean, get rid of that habit. So, in case if you want to make PPTs and stuff, you do it. But apart from that, don't download it. Always refer to that latest documentation. Okay. This is the master place where you can get the all the documentations. Okay. So you go here. You can see discover. So what's new? I mean, if you want to understand, see again this part also. I don't know if you guys have explored these tabs. So discover means what is new and stuff documentation is implement. If you want to implement the SAP HANA, what are things? See HANA Master Guide. Can you see this? And server installation and upgrade guide. studio installation and upgrade guide. So this is basis, very, very important, guys. So implement is this section where you and me have to look into it. See, very important things. Everything is free and open source. See, I have not logged into any user. And then use. And then another important thing, operate, again basis. Okay, can you see here? SAP HANA administration guide for HANA platform, troubleshooting and performance analysis system. So HANA cockpit system, everything what I'm going to explain in this one. So my purpose is to point you to the right direction. Okay, so you will have clear instruction. HANA documentation is amazing. Don't worry. You will have step-by-step procedures available over there. You don't have to Google or you don't have to do anything. First of all, get out of that mindset. So SAP has very clean documentation on S4HANA and SAP HANA. So you'll get beautiful and amazing documents. Okay, come here and implement and then operate. These are the two things very, very important for the HANA. And forget about asking people, can you give me this book and that book? No, everything is available over here. I'm telling you, believe me. So see administration guide, if you open it, everything there, how to stop, how to start, everything is a system administration. You put it over here. See, starting and stopping. That's why I'm not focusing too much on execution. Execution you will do for sure. I mean, who will not able to execute HDB stop and HDB start, man? Simple. It's as simple as that. Right click and stop or right click and see. Can you see? Very, very simple commands will be there. So starting and so see, start the system. Same like NR and HDB. You know, right? How to stop this command like this. SAP control minus NR, instance number minus function, start system DB, stop system DB. These commands, anybody can execute it. So the important thing is where do you point and how do you go to this one? And you can download it as a PDF also. Let's download it. You can do it. Full document. HANA SAP is giving it for free, guys. See, 1580 pages of document, which Google will give you this document. Everything you will find it. I mean, you just have to go to the right point and right check. Clear, guys? Explore this, please, tomorrow. Don't download it. So it will be unnecessary waste of space in your laptop. I'm damn sure of it. You will never read it. Okay, that book, maybe out of enthusiasm, you may open it for today and tomorrow, but I'm sure of it. You will not read it. Always refer to this thing. And these are the links. Some of the important links I have put it over here. Just try to search, open these links and try to do these things. Okay, clear? Any questions? So now you understand the need of the SAP HANA. We have discussed about HANA as an application platform, and database is just part of it, and find the additional documentation.